happy festive season of falling leaves and gourds, maybe. Or August. You can watch this whenever you want. I'm Richard, not telling you what to do.
Oh, I am Karl. I mean, I'm also not going to tell you what to do. That's not my job.
Yeah, between us, we have a net total leadership stat of 0, which is ironic considering what we've done for careers. And welcome to Deep Space and Dragons. We're hosts, I think, to possible zombie viruses, but likely not.
Oh, yeah, we could be patient 0.
You know, let's
double
be
0.
honest. Panda's patient 0. We know this already. Through everything he says and does, I'm 90% sure he's already a zombie. So, what's new in the Karlverse? Probably zombies.
Oh, well, it's not. Well, I mean, yes, zombies are in the Karlverse, but yeah. So I watched Night of the Living Dead for my tradition of watching horror movies with my girlfriend, fiance, person.
Nice.
Special.
Good save. I enjoy the idea that your fiance person who's special will listen to this episode like 10 years from now and be like, fiance person who's special, huh? And you're like, that's a compliment. A pretty good one.
Anyways, so Night of the Living Dead, released in 1968. By 1966, most North American films were shot in color. So
might have been a misplay.
So the Night of the Living Dead, it was an artistic choice / budget constraint choice to. So apparently, they used chocolate sauce for blood and ham donated from a local butcher for like body parts and makeup and stuff.
So, before we go deeper into this, I want to dissect that a bit. I love that. So, part of my job in my department is people have been shooting videos, right, of doing redacted and IP protected and redacted shoots about redacted topic. And there's like stock footage. One of my teammates is making backgrounds. I'm helping edit scripts. And I'm like, you know what? If these were in black and white, you're right. In black and white, special effects are much easier. And maybe being bright and colorful and energetic's wrong. Maybe students would be like, hey, we're here to help you with your anxiety. If it's in like black and white, people would be like, what? Or if it was black and white and red and that was it, it's like, you need to take a moment to notice nature to distress. And it was like just in like a Sin City color palette. I don't know. That might cause enough dissonance to get a second look.
As a side note, Sin City
is a gorgeous looking movie.
The entire film is actually shot on green screen. And so then like the background light and the foreground light aren't the same, and it helps give you those like super nice angular lines that you generally see in actual comic books. But then if you actually want realistic lighting, that's not the movie for you, but it's a very awesome stylistic choice to be in black and white and against the green screen.
Well, it's black and white with very specific color choices, like gold shows up once in a while and red shows up once in a while. And the thing is, CGI, we love to throw shade at CGI here in Deep Space and Dragons, like the Expendables changing a helicopter from black to white instead of just using paint. But if you choose to do CGI and go fun with it, I'm not talking Ant-Man where they just shot it in front of the entire movie in front of a green screen for Ant-Man 3. I'm talking like fun, mind-bendy stuff. Like into the Spider-Verse using different frame rates for different characters. I support use of like fun CGI. I don't support use of cloning Robert Downey Jr. digitally with AI so they can resurrect him as a digital zombie. But that's a story for another day. Today is not a Marvel episode, although that was my entire Friday shift. It was just me ranting about Marvel movies.
But so, Night of the Living Dead is a landmark cinema film for like horror movies. Like, so many directors that came afterwards cite Night of the Living Dead as one of their inspirations for why they got into filmmaking. And I will say, like I've mentioned a couple times, that there's movies that are old, and then the twist is that there is no twist.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, for a 50-year-old movie, almost 60-year-old movie.
You know, I love our inconsistencies for spoilers, because we'll literally open an episode with, and in JJK, Gojo died, and then spoiler warning, Nosferatu.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, Night of the Living Dead isn't that old. Like I said, it came out in 1968. But um, it actually, having never seen it before, it actually had a genuine twist at the end. Um, because the main the main character, he's a black guy, and he makes it through the night. He's the only person in this house that makes it through the night. And then um, the military and police forces or whatever, they're working together. They're hunting the zombies the next day. And he hears them coming because he hears their dogs and hears the guns, and so he like cautiously goes out of the cellar to double check what's going on. And the police officer sees him in the window, and it's not clear if they shot him in the head because they thought he was a zombie or if because he was black.
So, one of my favorite ironic Dragon Ball Z abridged memes, Dragon Ball Super memes, is there's just a line where Trunks says to the future cops in the future, "Don't shoot, this man's not black," as a reference to Goku Black. And I just see that meme once in a while. And it's but for the record, disclaimer.
That's
I want on
awful.
the record to go Deep Space and Dragons does not endorse racism.
But but the point I'm trying to make is actually it's like I thought at least some people would survive to the end, and in the end nobody survived. Like there's they try to make an escape attempt and end up blowing up a truck with two people inside, or like they're just trying to survive the night and zombies are busting down doors and stuff. And then yeah, like the token black guy, instead of dying first, he dies last.
There's
and it's
so
just
many
like
layers to that. I mean, Deep Space and Dragons, disclaimer, does not have the power to solve racism. If we did, we would have
we do
done
not.
so.
But anyways, the TLDR, there are some odd choices, and the pacing is a little bit slow compared to modern movies.
Except for the
But Night of the
Batman.
Living Dead.
Have you watched the Batman, like the newest one? Because that is paced slow. Oh.
But the point is that I would actually still recommend Night of the Living Dead. Apparently not the first zombie movie, according to Wikipedia. That's a movie called White Zombie
That's not even
in 1932. But yeah, Night of the Living Dead, decent movie.
All right, so instead of going with the what's new with either of us, I want to talk zombies. So now we've talked Night of the Living Dead, let's talk the best movie ever made, Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, Shaun of the Dead is an excellent zomcom, as Wikipedia says.
The only good zomcom.
The only good zomcom? I mean, I don't really have that many other examples, but like...
It's hard to make a good zomcom. The only reason it worked was it had the driest, most Britishest sense of humor I'd ever seen. And very good cinematography, because it's like, you watch him do his mundane walk and then do his zombie walk, and they did both of those in one take each.
Right.
It's like they tried really hard to make a bad movie, which resulted in an amazing movie.
Well, I mean, that's definitely one of those examples where the director makes a huge impact on like the cinematography, like you say, like how the scenes are shot and those long sort of symmetrical shots. Like it's
parallel
it's
shots.
like
Let's go parallel.
Parallel shots, yeah, because he does the same thing before the zombies as he does when the zombies come, and he ironically is such a zombie that he doesn't even notice the actual zombies.
That's the joke of the movie, is Shaun was dead inside. It's great.
Right. And the director, I don't remember who it was, but the director of the Shaun of the Dead movie really like hammered that home in so many subtle ways.
Edgar Wright.
That's great. Edgar, yeah. That guy, definitely an excellent director.
So, like, Shaun of the Dead, is one direction zombie shows can go that was good. So, Dawn of the
Mm.
Dead, serious zombie movie, good. Shaun of the Dead, serious comedy, good. Like, I've said this about Dragon Ball Z Abridged before too. A good comedy
Mm.
is shot like a movie that's taking itself seriously. Because it's like comedies will often be like, well, since we're just doing a comedy, we don't have to care. I'm like, no, no, care. When you care, it is a better comedy. So you know what movie where they didn't care? Zombieland.
Ooh. Uh, yeah. Zombieland was ridiculous.
And then it's like, I look up the director for Shaun of the Dead. They're like, are they making a Shaun of the Dead too? It's like, no, never. They refuse. They'd rather die. I'm like, that's correct. Every part of that is correct.
I didn't realize that Dawn of the Dead was actually a sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Huh. Now, you know what movie, though, to go on the trifecta of zombies? So we have serious zombies, we have comedy zombies, and we have Evil Dead. Evil Dead, in all its cheesy goodness, with its chainsaw hands, its army of darkness, its Evil Dead, that is a great 2 in the morning while eating McNuggets movie.
Yeah.
Is it a good movie? No, I'm not going to pretend it is. Is it a great movie? Absolutely. That's one of those things that's probably been parodied more than I've seen it. Like, I've seen Army of Darkness. I
Probably
watched
true.
it once. And I've seen Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And they're great movies. But they've definitely been, like, lampooned so many times that the original might have been, like, absorbed into pop culture.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. Because again, like I say, watching these older movies, and then the twist is that there is no twist because they've been parodied and contorted so many times because people already know them, right? The real question about zombies, to me, is just like how much can you actually do with zombies?
So, to go into a mini monologue about the difference between zombies and the infected. So, zombies, aka magical zombies, don't need to be explained, they're just zombies, has become the more interesting variant. Because 28 Days Later made the infected a thing. Sure, it was technically Resident Evil that probably ripped that off, and that was probably ripped off by something else before it. But the infected is boring. It's just, ooh, it's super rabies. We're going to explain it.
Right.
And those movies became the same movie. Like 28 Days Later and The Walking Dead are the same basic concept.
Right.
And I find those less interesting because, like, the whole, ooh, we all have the zombie virus has kind of been done to death at this point.
Right.
I don't know. How'd you feel about 28 Days Later / Resident Evil Wannabe? They ripped off Resident Evil. I'm calling it right now. And if they pretend they did see Resident Evil before they had a chimp infected with the rage virus, I call bullshit.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of my least favorite ways of quote unquote creating zombies is the infection. Like Walking Dead in particular, I found it's like the first 2 seasons there's hope that they might find a cure. And then it's like, oh no, everyone's infected and you turn into a zombie as soon as you die. And it's like, why am I still watching this? And every season ends up being the same thing, where they find a place to hunker down, and then shit goes south.
So my issue with The Walking Dead is actually from a narrative point of view, not a zombie point of view. So, mutant rage zombie, sure, why not? You can do everything from High School of the Dead to Attack on Titan if you really think about it. So, the concept of the viral zombie, you can do that, sure. The problem with The Walking Dead is there was no win condition. And we knew that. Because there's one season where I'm a scientist, I need to get there. Well, I was just lying. I'm like, that wasn't a twist. We knew that. What would have been the twist is there was actually a solution to this. Because they do this big cryptic reveal at the end of season 1, and the big reveal was like, yeah, we're all screwed. That's not a big reveal. Right. That's nothing. Where at least Resident Evil, you could punch a boulder. Like, at least there was like a win con in those, as cheesy and cliche as it was. Also, I enjoyed that I just low-key declared Attack on Titan a zombie movie.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. I don't know.
Kinda, sorta. It's a bit of a stretch. Oh, the
I
worst
mean,
trope, though, in anime is when you have the zombie person just bring back dead characters, if you do it poorly. It can be fun, and it can also fail miserably.
so I mean, okay. So in terms of anime, um, there are two big examples of zombies right off the bat. The first one being Naruto, which we talked about last week, but we didn't really focus much on the zombie aspect
That's because that's
of.
the part they screwed up. Like, I'm not even going to dignify that with a follow up. They weren't zombies, they used magic ninja magic to resurrect them as immortal fan service.
Okay, okay. And then the other one, that's somewhat a little more interesting, is Bleach. The one Sternrider has that blood power where she like when she bleeds on people, she turns
So,
them into
what's
zombies.
funny is Bleach body mechanics make no sense. So, everyone in Bleach is a ghost already,
Right.
and you're making ghosts into zombies. Repeat that out loud, please. What were they doing in Bleach, Karl?
They were making ghosts into zombies.
So I'm not going to dignify that with an explanation. But the worst part is they like literally use it to circumvent characters dying in a series where there's already healing magic and it was hard to kill people. I'm like, okay, you did not need a zombie person to resurrect a captain to have another person hit them with a different zombie virus when you have a character who rewinds injuries. So unnecessary. So, did you ever? So, High School of the Dead and Kabardi of the Iron Fortress were two straight up zombie animes. But I like
hmm.
look up the list of zombie animes and they're like Zombieland Saga, and I'm like, I don't think I watched Zombieland Saga. But then they're like Hellsing, and I'm like, all right, let's talk about like. So the problem with Hellsing, either the anime or like Underworld and vampires, werewolves, zombies
Right.
are the putty troopers of horror movies when they're mixed with other more horrifying things.
Right.
Because like vampire thrall is such an archetype, but it's so much less. I don't know. It's like if you have other better evil things, zombies become woefully punchable.
Well, yeah. I mean, so a lot of supposedly like zombie animes. It's like, are they really zombies or are they like ghouls?
It's perfect pivot. I think Tokyo Ghoul season 1 really fits the zombie feel a lot better. So it's
Like
like
it
they're not
definitely
zombies at
feels like a
all,
zombie movie. Mm.
right? Because it's like they're not technically zombies at all. They're regular living life forms that just happen to be cannibals. But they're
Right.
zombie-esque, but it has the zombie energy of like, I'm forced to bite people against my will, and I just like there's a lot of like energy it has, especially when it's like more coffee shoppy at the start. Like, I'm not
Mm.
gonna say the Tokyo Ghoul manga or the later seasons after he gets amnesia and becomes a ghostbuster. But the first season definitely had good zombie energy. Like I respected
Mm.
it. It was quite zombie.
Yeah, but I mean, then it's like, yeah, technically they are more ghouls than zombies. Hence the name, I suppose.
Like even like Soul Eater's like, yeah, we have a character who's a zombie. Just the one character, but we just start putting in all the horror movie homages we can get. And I'm shocked in retrospect that Soul Eater never had a vampire. It had witches, ghosts, a werewolf, zombies, a creepy laughing moon, venom, but no vampire. Weird line for them to not cross.
Uh, but so then, obviously neither of us are a huge fan of the people are infected. Like I am Legend with Will Smith.
He
Um,
certainly is a legend these days. Oh man, has he lost my respect. But that's not what we're going to go into today. But if you want to Google it, just Google Will Smith lost my respect, and it'll probably explain it for you.
interestingly enough, little side note. Apparently, he is one of 3 movie stars that's still a draw to the theaters.
Bah. Bah.
Anyways, um, So infected zombies. So back to Night of the Living Dead.
Mm.
Um, they weren't exactly infected with a virus, but the explanation in universe is that they sent a probe to Venus and it came back with some sort of weird radiation infecting it, and that radiation reactivates the brains of the recently deceased and turns them into cannibals.
You know, I don't
Um,
like that less or more. Like, I feel like if they re-rate that movie today, they would have
mm,
went with the virus instead because it fits our current science more. And I don't think
mm.
it would have changed anything.
Yeah, okay. But like, what other kinds of zombies? Like, there's magically resurrected zombies.
Yeah, so at this point, zombies have just become the infected, right? Like, other than literally Evil Dead or D&D, zombies aren't magic anymore. Magic
Mm,
zombies really only works if you have like a more historical setting going on.
right.
And then you get something like iZombie, which I remember seeing trailers for but never watched, where it's like, I'm a medical student who's a zombie who eats the brains of victims to experience their memories. And I'm like, wow, you guys really are trying so hard to make your police procedurals interesting. And I give you some credit. It was interesting.
Well, my roommate actually rather enjoyed iZombie. I found it got a little bit tired after a while, but basically, it's exactly as you say. The medical student, she works for the morgue, and or yeah, she's like doing her practicum at the morgue or something, and then she goes and she has a party on a houseboat, um, where she gets bitten by and infected by a zombie. Um, and then most of the series, like she solves crimes by eating people's brains, and she takes on their personality and their memories to try and solve their crimes, like eating the victims' brains,
Mm-hmm.
so that she can regain their memories and try and solve their murders. While the through plot is her trying to solve what's going on with this zombie virus and all the other zombies that are doing their political zombie shenanigans.
So what's
And
interesting?
it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, finish that up.
Well, I did actually find the premise to be fairly interesting. Just problem with TV shows in general is that they often overstay their welcome and they just kind of keep rehashing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, it's kind of like the joke in The Walking Dead is, it's not the zombies, they're the Walking Dead because they're doomed no matter what. I'm like, okay, should have ended you at 4 seasons then, shouldn't you have?
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is, I think part of what makes particularly the retro ones versus some other zombie things feel more zombie is at this
Mm,
point we can kind of accept that we're just going to use rage viruses instead of magic. But
mm,
good horror writing is you only show like 10% of the monster, right? So like
right.
when you explain your zombies and then have an antidote to your zombies, you lose
Mm,
value of the zombies. Like Night of the
mhm.
Living Dead probably didn't actually need to explain the zombies, right? Like sure, you could go radiation, mutate brains, whatever you want. But quite frankly, it's the unknown that makes it kind of interesting. Like the reason Tokyo Ghoul's first season felt more horror zombie is it felt more horror in general because it had that slower
Right.
methodic pace of like, oh, this is just a bunch of Hannibal Lecters in this story trying to out Hannibal Lecter each other. But like
Right.
completely brainless zombies or actually, so recently I watched a Resident Evil live action show on Netflix.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was interesting because like they had cliche Resident Evil things like we got our scientist, we got a rage virus, we got an off-brand Wesker clone,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed it even though it was extremely predictable because it's Resident Evil, of course it is.
Hmm.
But then you got The Last of Us and decided to go with fungus zombies, the fungus
Ooh,
among
yeah.
us.
I was going to ask you what you thought about The Last of Us
It
and
was
the show
so
or the
good.
movie.
So for the show, as I said before, emotional through lines are what make your zombie show, right? And
Hmm.
using a zombie show as your setting for your Grogu Mandalorian, reluctant old soldier, young daughter archetype trying to survive against a cruel world, where you have to
Hmm.
sacrifice your daughter to save the world or screw over the world to save your daughter.
Right.
Great use of zombies. Because zombies make a
Hmm.
great existential threat you don't have to feel bad for. You can kill them, they can be as scary as they need to be.
Right.
But Last of Us, its emotional core was solid. One of the best hours of TV in recent memories is we just followed a side character who, him and his husband, went through their awkward falling in love during a zombie apocalypse days, where one was a doomsday prepper and the other one was just trying to live his best life.
Right.
It was beautiful. It was poignant because the idea was the zombies are leading to isolation, becoming close with the people you care about, against the ever present threat, not trusting humanity, and knowing when to open up and try. And basically, the key zombie trope is dying is like choosing to do something good and it possibly costing you your life, right? Like choosing
Mm.
optimism at the cost of your life is kind of a cliche zombie movie trope, but I think it's an
Right.
important zombie movie trope.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, no.
you are right that almost, if not all, zombie movies have at least one character who sacrifices themselves to the horde so that someone else can escape.
And like a key point too is that the first humans you run across in a zombie movie are like the humans are always going to be more dangerous than the zombies in a zombie movie. And that becomes the
Mm.
ethical dilemma is helping out other survivors at the risk of yourself. That's kind of
Right.
the core concept that zombie movies thrive on. And Shaun of the Dead nailed it. Like, it was like, okay, I'm going to use this as an excuse to get back with my ex. No. Okay, we're just going to go to the bar till this whole thing blows over. But, like, it had all the key, like, actual dramatic zombie self sacrifice heroic moments. So, I went
Right.
through one of those Telltale Walking Dead games as part of a class I was doing last semester.
Hmm.
And the interactive game was probably more interesting than the actual show.
Yeah,
Because it gives you
okay.
those moral choices of who do you save and when, which is really good for a
Mm.
choose your own adventure novel. And it was kind of a Ghost Train's choose your own adventure novel, like none of the choices really changed the overall plot so much. But
Hmm.
the premise of zombie survival, but you get to choose, they also gave you a more interesting character where you're an ex convict who got out during a zombie apocalypse and had to lie to people because you're an ex convict. So, like, it's interesting the social dynamics of the zombie apocalypse destroys all existing power structures and then you have to rebuild it. And are you going to be optimistic or pessimistic? The worst zombie movies are the ones where you just release the zombie cure and the zombies go away at the end. But equally bad is if you don't have a character arc, so the zombies kill everybody and there's no hope at the end. Because what your actual
Ooh.
arc is does the grizzled old man who's lost his daughter bond with the young child and escape? That was the actual through line. They weren't going to cure the zombie problem,
Right,
nor were they going
right.
to die accomplishing nothing to nihilism. The Last of Us had a very clear objective. Also, you know what has
Mm.
zombies? That's not really a zombie series? Fallout. See, we kind of talked about mutants very briefly, because technically that's how they made the zombies in Night of the Living Dead. Nuclear fallout is
Right.
the other thing that makes zombies. Rage virus, magic, and nuclear fallout.
Yeah, but like you say, most modern series or examples of zombies have basically given up on the magic aspect. Like
Well,
it's
to
pretty
even
much
give the most
non-existent.
perfect example, even though we spend way too much of Deep Space and Dragons talking about Bleach, in a show with literal magic, with ghosts in the afterlife who have magic, like
Hmm.
actual magic, they used a rage virus still to make their zombies. It was literally, if my blood splashes on them and I feed them my blood, they turn to zombies. And I'm like, you make arrows of spirit energy. Why is there a biological component to this? And then Naruto's like, oh, we just
Oh.
use magic to bring them back. But they're not mindless. So if they're not mindless, then they're also not really zombies, are they?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Because part of being a zombie is being mindless.
Because if you're
Uh,
not mindless, then like the thing is, I like the hybrid zombies. I'll let like the Tokyo Ghoul ones get away with it, where it's like, okay, they're not
mm,
mindless, but they go feral when they get hungry. Like that's kind of
yeah,
fun. And they're like a lot of metrics show that they're technically dead. Like if you're slowly becoming more zombie-like, and if you start devouring people, you just go actual outright zombie. That's great. Like he basically turned into a centipede monster by the end of it, which is horrifying, but had the energy I was looking for.
yeah, that's true.
So then you have things like Zombieland, which there's a lot of things that just wanted to be Shaun of the Dead but forgot to. Because Shaun of the Dead was a comedy set in an actual zombie movie, where a lot of time they set their
Mm.
zombie comedies in a comedy movie.
And then they add zombies to try and make things funny or interesting.
Yeah, where that's the difference between being set in a zombie movie and being a comedy that has zombies.
Mm.
Is how serious the zombie part is, which it really wasn't for Shaun of the Dead, but it kind of was. And yeah, 28
Oh,
Gauge Raider had fast zombies, which the joke is fast zombies are more dangerous. If we look for like Left 4
right.
Dead in your classic zombie video games, fast zombies. They go
Hmm.
diametrically opposed to the horror plot, because as I mentioned, the unseen threat is 90% of horror. The Thing barely ever showed the Thing. So,
Right.
the reason I point that out is if your zombies are fast and you see them running at you, that's less scary than it being silent with a little bit of rustling and then brah, zombie out of nowhere.
Going back to the Night of the Living Dead, one of the strange choices they made. Okay, so firstly, a little side tangent. Um, I mentioned that many directors cite Night of the Living Dead as one of their inspirations, and I don't know if this is direct inspiration or not. But Night of the Living Dead opens with several fairly long shots of a car driving out into the country, and it immediately made me think of The Shining.
Oh, The Shining.
But then, because The Shining has even longer shots of the car driving out into the country, and it's just like it's that they're both the opening credit scene and the dramatic, scary music of just this car driving out into the country. Um, but anyways, the point I actually wanted to make was the other strange thing that one of the strange things that Night of the Living Dead did is there's a 5-10 minute chase scene, and the zombie's just like hobbling after the character named Barbara.
Barbara. I don't know why that's funny. It just kind of is.
But yeah, the zombie's just like hobbling after her, and she's just running and running and running, and she gets into a car, and the zombie follows her car, and the zombie then she like ends up crashing the car, and the zombie's still chasing her, and it's just like, why is this super slow zombie like so dedicated to getting this one girl?
Where if you have many zombies, then you can fix that error, right? Like you deal with one zombie and another zombie. Shasha.
But I mean, then she goes to the abandoned farmhouse where she meets all the other characters, and the farmhouse is steadily surrounded by zombies. So I mean, it does solve some of the issue I just mentioned by having people hole up in a house. But I just thought it was so funny how like you say, fast zombies aren't really as scary as zombies popping out of nowhere. Uh, but I guess back in 1968, being chased by a zombie for minutes on end was a terrifying prospect.
Because the thing is, or you can mix it up too. Like if 90% of your zombies are slow and then one of them just lunges at you, Walking
Mm.
Dead's Resident Evil style, it'll get you.
Right.
Because it's funny, like Last of Us as a game is definitely like modeled after the Resident Evil Silent Hill vibes of like they, you're you're given janky controls intentionally because the situation is tense. But then you go the
Mm.
other direction with things like Dead Rising or Zombies U, where it's like, no, we just want to beat the easily smookable mooks.
Oh, zombie you.
Zombie U is interesting concept. It's one of those interesting concepts at Wii U.
Well, see, I'm pretty sure Zombie U did better when it was just Zombie. When they re-released it on PS4, I believe, maybe PS3. But the prepper pad, they just basically did away with it because, well, I love the Wii U architecture, but not many people knew how to use it.
Completely
But Zombie
unrelated.
U was an interesting game.
I'm so excited that Xenoblade Chronicle X is getting remastered. I don't think they'll ever fix the multiplayer, but it was a really cool game.
It was a really cool game.
So,
Um,
a friend of mine was telling me I should watch Kingdom, which is a Korean historical thriller about zombies.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
yeah, that's all I know about it. I just wanted to say this out loud to listeners because at least one person will be like, especially if it's that same friend, like, yeah, you should watch Kingdom.
Um. But
So,
so if we go on to like witchcraft slash magic used to resurrect zombies, um, so you've seen all or what's available for what we do in the shadows.
yes.
Um,
They're one zombie joke.
well, I mean they kind of had two because the one guy becomes a zombie, and then he learns how to speak again, and so then he has to teach the other guy how to be a zombie that can speak.
Yeah, it was the same joke.
Um,
They just used it twice.
I suppose so.
With surprisingly continuing returns. So, what's interesting is something I haven't seen explored much. I'm curious your thoughts. Should more
Mhm.
zombie movies take place in the past? Because I've literally watched a movie and I do not remember what it was called or where I watched it, and it was subtitled late at night, but it was literally about like a Nazi zombie experiment. And then they had to like blow up this like nuclear plant that was making Nazi zombies. But my
I don't know if it's the movie I'm thinking of, but um, for when D-Day happened in World War II, um, they there was apparently uh, scouts that went ahead to try and destroy radar towers. Uh, and so this movie is called Overlord, and it's about the scouts to go ahead and destroy the radio towers, and
yes,
then they
yes,
discover
yes, yes,
that one
yes.
of these
This is
radio
the movie. This is the movie.
one of the radio towers is just like filled with zombie experiments.
Yep.
Uh,
Overlord 2018. That's the one. That's
yeah,
wild.
me and my buddy went to go see it in theaters. We thought we were in for just a World War II movie, and then suddenly it was about zombies.
You know, that's the best way you could have experienced that. That's like the intended
Uh,
strategy is you're not aware. Because like Nazi zombies are just a great thing to kill. And also one
mm,
of the more likely groups to make zombies.
definitely. Um,
But I did Google it,
and,
and there's at least 10 Nazi zombie movies. Apparently, they're a popular subgenre.
I mean, so zombies are already, mookable mooks, but um, if you have them being Nazis, A, it gives a reason for them to exist, and B, it makes them even more killable. Like, it's like, oh yeah, everyone agrees that Nazis were bad.
Oh, yeah. No ethical dilemma here. But I was kind of thinking, like, for if you were to make a zombie movie now, part of me wants to be like,
Mhm.
oh man, do I just set a zombie movie in, like, colonial England or something? Like, do I go, like, Victorian zombies just to make them harder to kill? Because, like, you watch, like, Resident Evil or, like, World War Z, and you're like, yeah, now we have planes that are going at, like, Mach 7, dropping iron magnesium dust to create heat lasers across the land to scorch them. And, like, yeah, zombies are less
Mhm.
scary when you can send in drones to kill them.
Right.
You know what?
But
Let's make this interesting. Pitch to me your zombie movie. You have 5 minutes. Right now, just pitch me a zombie movie for $1 million. Go.
pitch you a zombie movie.
Yeah, right out off the
Um,
top of your head. What is Karl's zombie movie? You can get the money here. Let's Shark Tank this.
well, see, I'm actually kind of a fan of the zombie movie where the zombies actually grow in intelligence and begin to create like a society, and then we're talking about how there's no ethical dilemma. But the idea of like there's like zombie children, and then they're like you're going around killing zombies, and then it's like oh a child, but then like zombieing, so like like uh, I think that would be. I'm just kind of a fan of the zombies to get more intelligent and learn over time, and then the idea that like maybe a zombie takes over the very drones you've been talking about and starts torching the humans.
See, that's pretty great. Like, slowly developing zombies is a pretty good twist. Like I was alluding to, I'd probably go like Ip Man period piece martial arts movie, but zombies.
Oh, I love all of the Ip Man movies.
Because, like, the
It's
idea
so
that
much
it's like,
fun.
You have to like Jackie Chan fight these zombies. You know how much harder zombies are to fight when your weapon is a flintlock pistol in your fists, and if they bite you, you're a zombie.
Uh,
Because like I'd be going so far to those B movie vibes, it's insane. Because like you could do a good horror zombie movie, but part of me is like, oh man, I would go so pulp with these movies, it'd be insane. Or just go 1-1 zombie magic cards.
1/1 zombie magic cards.
Well, it's like in D&D and Magic, zombies are just your 1-1 mooks. But like
Right.
one thing I enjoy doing in DVD is D&D is weird things as zombies, like zombie beholders. I really enjoy having the doofy zombie, like the zombie beholder poking the ground with a stick and then just collapsing when they're hit. Like I enjoy zombies being laughably bad in D&D until there's like an ocean of them, and then suddenly the zombie T-Rex is vomiting more zombies at you.
The zombie T-Rex. Oh,
The zombie T-Rex who vomits more zombies.
as a little aside, I was playing a campaign once. One of our players, they became undead.
Ooh, I did that to my current campaign. They made a deal with a hag, and the hag just killed them so they'd be immortal.
But the undead T-Rex that vomits more zombies, he doesn't gain health by eating zombies. He gains health by eating undead. And there is no save against the undead T-Rex eating an undead to regain health.
But I can't help it. I have to give them a savings throw. Like, I feel bad insta-killing players. I'd have to be like, you get disadvantage because it insta-kills zombies. And I tell them it insta-kills zombies, so I'm giving them disadvantage. So I look like I'm a benevolent overlord who isn't sicking a zombie T-Rex on them.
Well, I mean, fortunately, we managed to escape before the zombie T-Rex was able to devour our ally. But this is like, wow, zombie T-Rex. You're definitely right. The humanoid zombies are, well, they're kind of boring. But like Pet Cemetery.
Yep.
The Pet Cemetery, like the pet zombies, or just weird zombies of different species is like,
Well, it's like Resident Evil is like, yeah, no, any animal becomes horrifying super mutant. Last of Us is like, oh yeah, anything becomes horrifying clicker tentacle murder monster.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. What do you think? So the interesting thing about zombies to me is that there's just so many humans that your zombie army is huge. I make the joke that in a zombie apocalypse, I'd go back to Saskatchewan because the population in some of those small towns are small enough I could actually feasibly kill all the zombies. And they ain't moving in -50. It's physically impossible.
Right.
So that's my strategy, is to go to the worst place I can think of, northern Canada, and just pick them off like one at a time. But like, I don't know, like when you start doing zombie animals, it's ironic because it's like you don't have those numbers anymore unless it's like zombie pigeons or zombie raccoons. It's like a zombie tiger isn't actually that much scarier than a regular tiger because it's still a tiger.
I don't know if I've seen. I don't know if I've seen any like zombie pigeons. Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. They
That's just a peak movie in general, or a movie.
But they're literally just birds.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're infected with some sort of rage virus, but it doesn't really make them zombies.
That's fair. But like, to drop this up our zombie discussion a bit, because we've went over zombie movies, comedy, serious, we've went over affected, magic. My pitch to you is, because I enjoy throwing you on the spot this episode, what is your new idea of how to make a new kind of zombie? How are you making your zombies? Yeah, some new idea to make zombies.
Oof. I mean, that's rough. Because, okay, so obviously they have to be dead. Mm-hmm. And I mean, so the zombie virus is kind of science, but if you resurrect someone or something through science, they become more of a Frankenstein's monster and not actually a zombie per se.
Well, it's interesting. Like the Last of Us spores were a really good one because like, oh, you look to scary nature.
Oh yeah, and like it was in like the wheat
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who ate the wheat and then like ended up getting infected, and that's definitely a good one.
I
See,
mean, One Piece did the a guy steals your shadow and now you're a zombie. And like I want to go like it's like nanomachine is functionally the same as
as
virus.
infected.
Like the Borg
Yeah,
are
yeah.
zombies for all intents and purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Which to be fair, I kind of like techno zombies. I'm gonna be real, like the idea that like some robot hive mind is just mechanically putting parts into you until you're literally a drone.
Well, okay. So have you ever seen or read the story Cell?
Sounds
See,
vague.
John Cusack starred in the movie. I don't remember exactly when the movie came out. Had really bad CGI, but basically, uh, some sort of event happens, and anybody who is on their cell phone, uh, they there's a frequency that the cell phone plays, and it turns them into mindless zombies.
Accurate to real
Well,
life.
well, not exactly mindless zombies. They're like ravenous zombies, so they just like go around like
Yeah, we
ripping
call that
people apart.
Instagram. Does the same thing.
Right. Um, and then it's the story about this father played by John Cusack, who believes uh, against all odds that his son made it to a safe space. And so then he's trying to get to the safe space, and he ends up actually becoming one of the zombies because the zombies evolved to be able to emit the sound themselves to infect more people.
So is this a
Um,
zombie where in the Gundam NT movie they just kind of took a new type, disassembled them, pulled their brain out, and put it as a black box in a mobile suit? Like you're a zombie if your soul gets ripped out and you're put in a suit of armor, Edward Elfon style. I know the Barry the
hmm,
Chopper one where they did the reverse was Barry the Chopper's human body was absolutely a zombie.
uh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that like animating an inanimate object is not really a zombie.
Well, it's
Um,
more like a person's dead and then you force them to fight for you anyway and they don't have a personality left. And they just kind of go
mhm.
feral.
uh,
Because I think the feralization is part of the zombie nature.
I definitely agree. Like you say, the idea of zombies that grow in intelligence is interesting, but they
Uh,
definitely the majority of them would be more feral than intelligence.
mhm. It's like
Um,
hollows are actually pretty close to zombies when they were at the start of Bleach, where they just attacked other ghosts to make more hollows.
mm,
But it's like they got too intelligent and they's like, you know what, I need more swords people. I'm like, but cool lizard tuning fork squid monster. No, we need more swordsmen.
mm,
And it's like JJK, like the flesh puppet things he was making were pretty zombies.
mm.
Like most curses weren't zombies, but the one that dude guy Makito was making were definitely zombies. There's so much like would-be horror manga out there where it's like, yeah, there's going to be some kind of zombie in this. You need your zombies by federal law.
Hmm. Well,
I'm also partial to like capitalism's debt zombies, where like you die and your body's reanimated until your debt's paid off.
ooh, yeah, okay. I mean, that's pretty out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. See, how do you create a zombie in a new way? I don't know, but the idea of a zombie workforce, uh, it's like you send people to the gulag to work until they die, and then after they die, it's like, well, they can just keep working as a zombie until they actually rot and fall apart.
Which seems legit. And I think with that,
Uh,
are we ready to move on to
yeah.
our random question, or do you have any closing meandering zombie thoughts?
Uh, no, I don't have any closing meandering zombie thoughts. Um, what I do have, while you look for your random question,
I have the
is
list
a
up
random
today,
question.
but you can ask your question.
Okay. I sent you a timed message to show up when we were supposed to start talking, and then you never read it,
Oh,
which makes me a
dang.
little sad. But anyways, I'm gonna read it verbatim. It's a little bit wordy, but
You know,
the
I mute
text
my
goes like
phone to
this.
do our podcast, right? Like specifically, so it
Yeah.
doesn't make
Okay.
background noise. I'm just saying your accusation that, oh, I set this time message to go exactly while we were talking. Why didn't you see it? Is because
Not
we were
while we were
talking.
talking.
I
Not
know.
while we were talking. It was 7:30 my time, which is when we usually meet up,
Yeah. And at
and it's
7:30
right
my
at
time, I put
7:30.
mute on my phone like 2 minutes before it started.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. Anyways, the question goes like this: uh, You have the ability to teleport without restriction. Uh, parentheses. If there's a safe space at the destination, your power will put you there, but you can kill yourself if there are no safe spaces at the destination.
Ooh.
Uh, but you leave behind a cardboard cutout of yourself, posed exactly how you were when you teleported, straight on relative to your face. Does this change how you use your powers?
Yes. So first off, the cardboard cutout part, perfect. Wouldn't change that. Glad that's part of my power. I'm happy for that.
Okay.
That's just
Okay.
great. The main thing is setting up those safe spaces where it's like there has to be a safe space at the destination, but I basically need to create guaranteed safe spaces. And the way I see it, there's certain like rooms and buildings that will pretty
Mm-hmm.
much always have the spare space to accommodate a person
Right.
because there's no reason the entire thing would be dangerous. So I teleport to so many rooftops
Yeah. Okay. Rooftops are pretty safe.
and like gardens and things. Like if I'm teleporting behind the school to get there early to skip my commute, that's it. My destination is behind the school, which means if it puts me 10 minutes away from my goal, that's great. So for my teleport, I'm deliberately aiming for like parks and things.
Wide open spaces
Yeah,
makes
so like
sense.
I'm never teleporting inside a building. That's just a gamble for no reason. I'm definitely like soccer fields. Like I am that like there's no version of reality where the entire soccer field doesn't have a human shaped space in it. So like that's my main
Yeah.
thing is I'm like going in on walks to map my teleport safe spaces. So it's like, yeah, no matter what happens, like it could be a lightning storm, but there'll be at least 5 square feet of Richard space. But never inside a
Mm.
building, never in a plane, and the amount of commute and money it saves me is amazing. And
Okay, but I mean, like the cardboard cutout.
no one will ever
Give,
believe me.
what you teleport from home
Mhm.
to school, right?
Correct.
And now there's just a cardboard cutout of you standing there
Yeah, have you
at
met
home.
my apartment? It just blends in with the other cardboard. It's fine. I just
So,
break it
so
down
you
and put it
just
out.
throw your cardboard cutouts into recycling.
Yeah, every
And what I'm
five.
like, what about when you teleport home from school? Now you have a cardboard cutout of yourself standing in the school wherever you were when you
No, I have a
teleported.
cardboard cutout standing in this open field, deeply confusing people. Like that's the thing is, no one's gonna think Richard teleported. People are gonna think who is making these giant cardboard cutouts of Richard and putting them in the fields. And no one sees me printing them or making them or bringing them with me. And there's just cardboard cutouts. And the thing about them being in a field, the wind will knock them over, or the rain, and they're biodegradable. So eventually, it like
Ooh, fair, fair. I did design an eco-friendly power.
so it works out in such an elegant way that I'm just leaving cardboard cutouts places to go out with the recycling, or better yet, being crafted into Miko scratchers. Like if I can find like a good way to break down that cardboard and roll it up into Miko scratchers, but it just makes my power better because people are thinking I'm doing a dumb magic trick, right? Like if I
Mm,
just teleport, eventually the CIA will catch on to me. But if there's just a Richard
right.
shaped cardboard cutout in my exact pose in the middle of the field, and then the wind blows and it falls over and I'm gone, people are like, "What is this? He is such a good magician." No one's gonna think I'm actually teleporting home. And that's the thing is I'm like teleporting to like the park 2 blocks from my house. So people would just be like, "Oh, Richard's in a park." And the one person who would like see me apparate out of nowhere, because it's such a large empty space, they'd be like, "What? Where the hell did you come from?" And then if I see
Mm.
someone see me, I do it again, and then just see a cardboard cutout where I was, and they're just impressed.
Where did this cardboard cutout come from? I swear it was a real person a minute ago.
Yeah, like it just messes with people better. Like, no, I think that's a better version of teleport. Because regular teleport, you can still teleport and get a rebar stuck through your foot. But since I know this is how it
Mm.
works and it always finds me a safe space at my destination, as long as I'm vague about my destination, I have hacked your system, sir. Like if I'm like North Brampton, find me a safe space in North Brampton, 20 minutes within range of my house. I'm good.
Well, yeah, I mean it's uh, the the main thing is that the idea is that there's no restrictions, not even restrictions on letting you kill yourself by teleporting to like 5 feet under the ground,
Yeah,
and then you apparate and you're just completely crushed by dirt.
right? But I'm like, no, I've made these safe spaces specifically, or I'm just super vague. Like, I'm gonna just teleport to Saskatoon and you get a call. And when it's like, where are you? I'm like, somewhere safe in Saskatoon, which is weird because I don't know if it'd let me in the city proper. The setup for that joke was worth it.
uh,
But back, same question back to you.
would it change how I use my powers?
I'm like free
Well,
cardboard, infinite wealth.
uh, it's the biggest thing about it is that it kind of stops you from using it for something stealthy. Like you can't like teleport into a bank vault and then take all the money and teleport out because they'll
You
be like,
absolutely can. So I'm gonna give my Death Note rant.
mm-hmm.
So I've probably given this on stream before. I don't know. Stop me if I've talked about the Death Note rant. The only thing that's got him caught using the Death Note is that he was paranoid about being caught using the Death Note. Because if he just blatantly used a magic notebook to kill people, no one would ever realize it. Right? Like, there's a bit where he's like, I got a secret drawer with a false bottom that if you open the drawer without putting the pen in the false bottom to break the circuit, my apartment breaks into flames. That's super suspicious. Right? Super suspicious. Now, if you're a forensic
Right.
student and you just on your desk have a book labeled Death Note, and you look at the writing you've been writing down when people were dying, that's less suspicious. You're not going to think this notebook is magic. And if you put like a regular
Right.
book jacket on it and it just says Light's Notebook, it's just a notebook where you're writing down names of people who died and you're just some random person. Like, the thing
Mm.
that made him suspicious was doing things like being suspicious. Like, he's like, oh, I need to make sure everyone dies so they know they're doing it. No! Never use the same death twice. If you just put bees and someone's stung to death, you're fine. So, if I just teleport into a bank vault, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steal the money, and then teleport out and leave a cardboard cutout of myself, what are the police gonna do? They don't know what I look like. This is just some random person. I'm pretty famous, too. Like, no one's gonna
Yeah,
just.
maybe they're gonna Google search your face and they'll actually find
Our
you
facial
and they'll
recognition
know what
technology
school you go
isn't
to and
actually
what bus
real.
you take to get home.
Like, we don't actually live in CIA, right? Like, you can't actually just have the bank run an image search to see who ran into the bank to find who robbed it. Like,
Yeah, I beg to differ. You could definitely Google lens a person.
you could try, but like, okay, this cardboard cutout shows that it looks like indie author Richard Kivas. What are you accusing me of? Putting a cardboard cutout in your bank vault? How? Last time I checked our legal systems, you have to prove I did it. I don't have to prove I
I'm,
didn't do it.
that's true, and I don't know if that'd be grounds to get your fingerprints or not. Or like, hopefully you didn't leave behind any like hairs or any other evidence.
Even if I did, it'd be like
Anyways,
proving I'm the one who did it would be nearly impossible because I have a magic teleport pattern that makes cardboard cutouts apparate. Good luck.
mm,
Also, because it's an exact cardboard cutout of me and it's cardboard, if I'm wearing a costume, they can't take the costume off the cutout, can they?
fair enough.
So I just
If you're
teleport in
wearing
as a
a mask,
stormtrooper, grab a brick of gold, teleport out, and there's just this cardboard cutout of a stormtrooper in there, and they're down a gold bar. What are you gonna do?
uh,
Which
but
is
would
so
it
much
change how I
funnier
use
if
my
I'm in a
powers?
Yeti conversation. Sorry, you want to change topics? Because this is fun.
No. I'm just trying to think about if like because the main thing is it's like I wouldn't really want to just like go to a park to teleport home. I would just want to teleport home wherever I happen to be.
That's because you don't commute. If you commuted
No,
everywhere you went, you'd be grateful to teleport to a park. I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours each way in transit every day. Yeah, no, if I can get within a 30-minute walk of my destination, amazing. Plus, I
I
can
think
leave.
I would actually, I think I would actually like use my teleportation power to like recreate like the Last Supper. with like I would just pose in different ways and then put all my cardboard cutouts together as a tableau.
I'm just trying to figure out how I can like infinite money this. Because like if I pose right, I can just assemble cardboard boxes by teleporting 4 times and just make infinite cardboard. Like I've just solved the softwood lumber crisis. Unless every time I teleport, it's like assembling the cardboard from somewhere, and I'm just like molecularly rearranging nearby matter into cardboard. In which case, that can get scary. But then I can
Well,
like
okay, I
kill
mean,
my enemy by
th-
teleporting away and turning them into cardboard.
there's no restriction on the teleporting power, so I assume it just conjures the cardboard out of a parallel dimension or something.
I love the
Uh,
idea that it's literally like disassembling the grass I'm standing on, so it's just dead grass and a cardboard cutout.
anyways, on to the actual random question. Did you get too involved in my question
Now we
to
got an
actually
actual
find the one
random
from the
one.
list?
This one is weird. Sometimes our fans.
Okay,
If you could
okay.
communicate with one specific type of fruit, what fruit would it be, and what deep philosophical question would you ask it?
Root.
And you
Hmm.
have to ask it a deep philosophical question.
A deep philosophical question. What? Sheesh.
I didn't write this random question. So for me, it'd be pomegranate, and I would ask it with complete seriousness if someone takes a bite of the outside of a pomegranate and tries to eat the round in the skin, are you still a fruit? It's like if the seed is the edible part of the pomegranate, are you still a fruit?
Huh.
I was trying to
Are
work
you
this
the
into
sum
like a
of your?
Ship of Theseus question. Actually,
Are you the sum of your parts, or
pretty much.
is that?
If basically is a single pomegranate seed its own being.
That would be a deep philosophical question. Um, I mean, I was gonna go with the durian fruit, like the super smelly one, and then just like straightforward. What's the point of your life?
That's rough, buddy. I do think the fruit would be like, the stench helps me survive, but the humans have adapted, like vermin. The number of things we've eaten out of stubbornness. Like spicy. The fact we like spicy is just nature being mad at us. But with that, thank you everyone for tuning in to Deep Space and Dragons Talk Zombies. Thank you for submitting your weird fruit-themed random question. We also got a couple other weird questions, but I'm going to save those for a later date.
All right, all right.
And try not to become a zombie or the infected or a spore monster, unless you really want to. We're not the boss of
If you want, yeah, if you want to become a spore monster, power to you. But please don't eat me.
But do make sure to go out and vote. Bye.
Bye.
Haha, that's all the politics you got to talk because you picked an interesting topic and got right into it. You got denied. You got denied your boring politics talk, which is super topical given America's busy coup d'etat right now.
Oh, I think I still have one more episode before they actually go to vote.
I mean, they're zombies, so hopefully they can be coaxed in the correct direction. So one of the random questions we got was, if you discover a portal to a world where puns are the only form of communication, what's the first pun you would use to introduce yourself? Mystery friend who got it, one of my friends who got really into our podcast sent me a couple of these, and I'm like, these are good.
Mystery friends, like you don't know who they are, or
Correct.
I don't know who they are.
I have no idea who sent this in, but they must know me if they're asking me about puns or actually listen to our entire show.